very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all the students present today to attend the online lecture. I, Professor Shivangi Sethi, hold immense pleasure to begin with the new session of second year BCom semester 3 with our very own subject business administration. I would have been glad to conduct a classroom lecture with one-on-one interaction, but as you all know that due to this pandemic situation, conducting an online lecture is the need of the hour. So I hope and believe that you all would be even more attentive and regular for your online classes. Now, before we actually begin with the chapters in business administration, or we begin with the lectures of the same, I wanted to design a lecture specifically to explain you the syllabus structure and what are the contents covered in the syllabus of business administration for your new semester 3. To brush up your memories a bit, I would take you back again to first year BCom, where you have studied business administration for both your semesters. Particularly, you have studied on what do you mean by management. You have studied about different managerial principles that were given by renowned people like Henry Fayol, Frederick Taylor. You have also studied about managerial roles, and you have studied in depth all kind of managerial functions. If you remember the abbreviation POST-CORP given by Luther Gulick, we have done each and every managerial function in detail. Now, coming to your second year BCom, we are definitely going to go a step further. In this new session, new semester, you are going to study something different, something in more detail pertaining to management in business administration. Now, to begin with explaining you the syllabus structure, I would like to ask you a question. Whenever you hear about management or you hear about MBA, you must have heard about the 3 different kind of specializations in which people do MBA. Immediately, the answer that should come to your mind is MBA could be done in finance, MBA is done by people in marketing, MBA is also done in human resource. So when I'm going to talk about your semester 3 syllabus, you are going to study in detail one of the specializations of MBA itself that talks about HR, that is human resource management. So your semester 3 will broadly cover topics that are pertaining to human resources and human resource management. Now, to explain you and give you an idea about the syllabus, it will not only help you for knowing what things are going to be covered for the subject, but will also help you in further lectures to come. Talking about the first unit that you can see, it is human resource management. Now I have covered all the units over here. I've also mentioned the weightage of every unit that you can see on the right hand side and the different key points that are covered in every unit I have mentioned in the slide. To begin with the first unit, human resource management, it will broadly cover the following parts. That is, what do you mean by a human resource? What do you mean by human resource management? Now, you may have heard about number of resources already, such as a financial resource, maybe a physical resource, maybe a natural resource or a man-made resource. But all those resources are useful only when you have a human being, a human resource to manage those things. So in this unit, in this chapter particularly, you're going to study about what do you mean by human resources and how they are so important and inevitable for every business enterprise. In first year BCom, you have already studied about management and what do you mean by management. तो एक डेफिनेशन आपके दिमाग में जरूर आ रही होगी that management is an art and science of getting things done through the efforts of others. Fine. But the same management now you're going to apply on human resources. So when I say we are managing people, we are managing human resources, combined together, the topic becomes human resource management. Moving further, you have a very important topic where you are going to study about the difference between human resource management and personal management. अब ये डिफरेंस जानने के लिए आपको पता होना चाहिए कि पर्सनल मैनेजमेंट एक्चुअली क्या है. Definitely in the next lecture, when I begin with this chapter, I would be explaining you as to what is personal management, what is human resource management, so the difference will get very clear to you. But to give you just a brief idea, I can tell, talking about the scope, something that is a bit narrow, something that is traditional is personal management. But today, the scope which is wider and a modern form of managing the human resources is nothing but human resource management. Now, why personal management is narrow or why HRM is wider, we will definitely study in the next lecture. So I'm not going to confuse you today in this first lecture. Moving further, as Unit 1 is basically focusing on human resource management, you will also have to study the characteristics of HRM. Now, whenever I say HRM, just keep this in mind. HRM is human resource management, an abbreviation for human resource management. So you are going to study the features, the characteristics of HRM, as to what constitutes HRM or what are the things covered in HRM. As I said, HRM is a modern version. It is a wider thing in scope. Definitely, it has number of advantages and importance. So you're going to study about the advantages, the benefits of applying human resource management in every organization. Because today, hardly will you find any organization that is running without HRM and without a human resource manager. Lastly, you are also going to study about the scope of human resource management as to when we are doing human resource management, what are the things that will be covered into it. मीनिंग टू से अगर हम ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को मैनेज करना चाह रहे हैं तो कौन सी चीजों पे हमें ध्यान रखना होगा या कौन सी चीजें मैनेज करनी होंगी सो दैट द ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज गेट मैनेज्ड. सो आई होप आई वाज क्लियर विद दिस मच पार्ट. यूनिट 1 ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट. नंबर 1 आप HR के बारे में पढ़ोगे, आप ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट के बारे में पढ़ोगे. As I said, there will be a difference between the modern and the traditional version of management known as human resource management and personal management. Lastly, you will study about the characteristics, importance, and the scope of human resource management. Now, to move further, in the same Unit 1, there is again a new concept being introduced just a year before. It was introduced in the syllabus, which talks about human resource management. But as you can see, there is a capital letter E that has been included before HRM. Now, E is nothing but electronic human resource management. When I say electronic human resource management, definitely it is different from a manual human resource management that a human resource manager does in the organization. Something that becomes quite online, something that becomes electronic, done in an automatic manner, is electronic human resource management. So just as you had features of HRM, अब आपको features पढ़ने पड़ेंगे of EHRM also. How is it different from a normal human resource management? In HRM also, I told that you are going to study about the scope of HR, मतलब कौन सी चीजें involved होंगी HRM में. Similarly, when you talk about EHRM, even it will have some kind of activities involved. So you are going to study about the electronic human resource activities. To name a few, it could be electronic recruitment, it could be electronic selection, it could be electronic training, and there are a number of other functions of human resource management that now can also be covered under electronic human resource management. अब ये सारी एक्टिविटीज में आपको मेनली 3 एक्टिविटीज पे ध्यान देना होगा. Number 1 that you can see on the slide is e-recruitment. Number 2 that you see is e-selection. And number 3 that you can see is all about e-training. You all know what is recruitment, you all know what is selecting, and training तो definitely आपने first year BCom में भी पढ़ा है. I may be inviting some 100 people for recruitment in my organization, but all the 100 people are not going to be selected. मुझे ज़रूरत शायद सिर्फ 10 या 20 लोगों की है, लेकिन मैंने 100 लोगों को मेरे organization में बुलाया है. So definitely my recruitment I would be doing, out of which I will select few people that suit to my organization's requirement. लेकिन जब ये recruitment online हो जाए, ये selection online हो जाए, it will become e-recruitment and e-selection. You will have to even study the guidelines of e-recruitment कि अगर एक organization e-recruitment करना चाहता है, तो what guidelines will it follow to do that? Similarly, when you want to do selection, same selection if I am doing in an electronic manner, it becomes e-selection. लेकिन उसका भी एक process आपको follow करना पड़ेगा. There is a procedure. How will you select people by an online mode? Lastly, the employees that enter to your organization, they cannot remain stagnant. वो जैसे आए हैं वैसे ही तो वो नहीं रहेंगे. It is not even good for you as an organization as well, because I have already taught you earlier that there are a number of changes that are already taking place in the business environment. Internal environment भी है और external environment भी है, such as the micro factors and the macro factors. ये change के साथ adapt तो करना ही पड़ेगा. To give you an example, even due to the current situation of this pandemic, even we as teachers and you as students are getting trained how to work in an online manner. So definitely training is very important. The same training that can be imparted in an electronic manner, online manner, it will become e-training. A very important question you have to understand is about the advantages of e-training and the limitations of e-training. तो आपको merits भी पढ़ने हैं और demerits भी पढ़ने हैं, because when a training is given online, it is not free from drawbacks. Limitations e-training के भी होंगे, because on-the-job training and e-training is completely different. So it has its merits, but in the same manner, there are some demerits as well. So you will also have to study about the same. I am not going to talk in depth about the topics, because हम जैसे chapters पढ़ेंगे, we are definitely going to study every topic in detail. But today's lecture is only to give you an idea about the things that you are going to learn for semester 3. So unit 1 we did about human resource management. I hope you are clear. The first unit covers topics of HRM and EHRM. Moving further, unit number 2 for business administration, semester 3, talks about human resource planning. You can see the weightage on the right hand side, it is 15%. Now, as I said, entire semester 3 is going to focus on one of the specialization of management, that is HR. So even unit 2 is talking broadly on human resources, but not management of human resource. It is planning the human resource. अब planning क्यों करनी होगी human resources की? तो when I say we are recruiting people, we are selecting people, we can never make over recruitment or we can never make under recruitment. आपने ज़्यादा recruit कर दिया तो people would just be disguisedly employed. You will have increased costs, the salaries will be reduced, and many more negative impacts. Similarly, अगर कम लोगों को recruit कर लिया तो objectives achieve नहीं होंगे. Ultimately, again, it will have its own adverse consequences. So in this unit number 2, you are basically going to study why do we need to plan human resource. And when I say planning human resource, we are actually planning the demand and the supply of HR. We are estimating the manpower demand and we are estimating the manpower supply. First year BCom, you may remember, we have already done a chapter on planning. हमने एक पूरा chapter किया था first managerial function के ऊपर, that was planning. To just brush up your memories, आपको याद होगा, I always used to ask you a sentence that why do we do planning? Or is it done for the past, present, or future? All of you had answered that planning is definitely done for future. Why future? Future is uncertain and definitely we have to do planning. Similarly, even in an organization, we need to plan the human resource. Future is very uncertain. We do not know the supply, we do not know the demand of manpower. So the same has to be planned, the same has to be estimated in advance, and a balance has to be kept between the two. So the first thing that you are going to study is the meaning of human resource planning. Also, you have to study about the features, the characteristics of human resource planning, as to what are the things covered in human resource planning and कौन सी चीजों को हमें ध्यान में रखना होगा. Secondly, just as you did the advantages, you did the characteristics of human resource management, similarly, human resource planning के भी आपको advantages पढ़ने होंगे. We will have to study the limitations also of human resource planning, because we have studied in first year also, planning also has its drawbacks. Because after all, planning is done for future. Future is uncertain. We can predict future, but we can never predict something with 100% surety or certainty. There are a number of uncertainties already involved. So there will be some kind of limitations also when you are planning the human resource in advance. Number 3, a very important question, even from your exam point of view, it is the process of human resource planning. Now, I can say this answer is the heart of the chapter, because a lengthy answer, of course, but definitely it covers a major part of the chapter. You need to study about the process of how would you plan your human resource. As I said, you will plan the demand, you will plan the supply of manpower. Along with that, you will have to undertake number of other steps so as to decide a process of planning your human resource. You would also have to study the factors affecting your human resource planning. When future is uncertain and there are a number of factors affecting it, so there will be factors that is affecting even your planning for human resource. To name a few, there are a number of factors within the organization also. Maybe it is within the control of the organization, but there are a number of factors outside the organization also that we know as macro environment, जो organization के control में भी नहीं होगा. It may be any sort of government policy, it may be any sort of law that has been passed. There could be any kind of calamity, one of which we are facing these days also. And if you have seen the news, you may have heard even about the cut in manpower going on these days, the level of unemployment that the people are facing these days. So there are a number of factors which affects the human resource planning. The demand and supply is not always as you estimate. So these factors you are going to study. Moving on with the third unit of semester 3, it talks about career planning and career development. The weightage you can see is 20%. Now, having done with Unit 1 and Unit 2, you might have got an idea by now that the topics are more or less focused on human resource. They are talking here and there only about how would you manage the human resource and how would you plan the human resource. If you remember in the beginning, I told you that you have to understand two concepts. One is traditional and one is modern. The traditional was personnel management. The modern is human resource management. I would give you an idea over here that in human resource management, when I say it is modern, when I say it is wider in scope, it is actually focusing on the career planning and development of human resource also. पर्सोनल मैनेजमेंट में हम एम्प्लॉयज़ के करियर के ऊपर या एम्प्लॉयज़ के डेवलपमेंट के लिए या एम्प्लॉयज़ के इंडिविजुअल गोल्स के बारे में उतना ध्यान नहीं देते थे. बट इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द मॉडर्न वर्जन, human resource management, these days every organization tries to invest in the career planning and career development of its employees also. So in this chapter you will be starting with the very first topic कि career actually होता क्या है. What is career? For some it would be just a future planning, या हो सकता है एक प्रोफेशन जो आपको सिलेक्ट करना है और वो आपका करियर है. बट एक्चुअली करियर इज अ वेरी ब्रॉड कॉन्सेप्ट, सो यू आर गोइंग टू स्टडी अबाउट दैट. एंड पर्टिकुलरली वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. तो उनके करियर के बारे में हम प्लानिंग भी करेंगे. एज अ ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजर यू नीड टू प्लान फॉर द करियर ऑफ योर एम्प्लॉय. एंड another topic that you can see is succession planning. Now, succession planning is, as a manager, I will have to plan that when and where are the vacancies being created in the organization, who will be replacing whom in the near future, which person is going to fit into which place in the organization, etc. So succession planning is nothing but planning as to who will succeed whom in the near future. Moving on, in career planning, you would also be studying about the needs and the prerequisites of career planning. When I say needs, we need to understand why career planning is essential in this competitive era where we already see that there are a number of rivalry firms surrounded by every organization. One needs to decide why we should invest so much in our human resources. Just keep one thing in mind, that if there is any asset in an organization that is very valuable, it is nothing else but human resource. So if you want to retain your human resources, if you want to sustain them in your organization, you need to give them a path for their career. You need to plan out their career. तो करियर प्लानिंग डेफिनेटली बहुत ज़रूरी है. तो उसके नीड्स और प्री रेक्विजिट्स मतलब करियर प्लानिंग करने से पहले कौन सी चीज़ों के बारे में आपको ध्यान रखना होगा, दैट ऑल्सो हैज़ टू बी अंडरस्टूड. Thirdly, very important answer once again, you are going to study about the career stages. We all know that the career does not remain same every time. In your entire lifespan, you cannot have a stagnant career. A person starting his job as an employee does not just always remain a lower level employee till his retirement. He definitely progresses, he definitely gets promotion, and he also reaches to a peak. So even over here, we are going to study those 4 stages of a career. As to you get introduced to a job, you definitely progress, you explore. Thereafter, you reach at a maintenance level, ultimately comes the decline. So the stages of one's career you are going to study. Fourthly, you need to understand some kind of elements in career development programs. I, as a manager of an organization, if I'm planning for the career of my employees, I need to devise some kind of programs, some kind of policies as to how would I work for the career development of employees. It could be giving them orientation, it could be giving them training, it could be just a piece of education, but I need to decide, I need to frame the programs to decide their career, to develop their career. Along with that, you would also have to study the steps in the career development system. And lastly, just like any other chapter, even in this chapter, you will have to understand about the advantages, and there are some drawbacks also, so some limitations of career planning and development. Definitely the advantages are much more than the limitation, but think about a situation where you have invested a lot in planning career of your employee, developing the career of the employee, and ultimately if in the near future he leaves your organization for some or the other reason, the entire career planning you did would become futile, would be in vain. So it also has its limitations that we would be doing. Now the same chapter covers some more topics. I can say this unit is divided into two parts. First part where you talked about career, and now the second part that talks about executive development. आप सबको याद होगा कि फर्स्ट ईयर बीकॉम में आपने एक चैप्टर किया था ट्रेनिंग. जब तब हमने वो चैप्टर पढ़ा था, इट वाज ट्रेनिंग गिवन टू द एम्प्लॉयज, कि how the lower level employees get trained in an organization. You may even remember we had done the methods of training. There were some on the job methods, there were some off the job methods. But in this semester, as I say, we are going a step further. We are not just going to talk about the training given to the employees. There are some people working at the executive level also. Now, when I say the executive level, I'm talking about the employers, I'm talking about the higher level authority also. So, in this chapter, we would also be doing a topic where there would be training given to the executives. So, when the executives are getting trained, we don't call it training. We have given a new term to it, that is executive development. When I say executive development, इसके भी अपने importance है और need है, because there is a saying we all know that learning is a never ending process. You may reach to any level, but you can never stop to learn. You need to always keep yourself updated with the changes going on in the business environment. So definitely even the executives need to get themselves developed. There are some methods also of executive development that you have to do. आपको बहुत familiar लग रहे होंगे ये methods, क्योंकि आपने first year BCom में भी किए थे on the job methods of training the employees and off the job methods of training the employees. यहाँ पे भी आप methods करेंगे, but it is not for training, it is for, as I said, executive development. Lastly, अब जब हमने इतनी बात की है ट्रेनिंग के बारे में जो आप ऑलरेडी पढ़ चुके हैं फर्स्ट ईयर में, और डेवलपमेंट के बारे में जो आप इस सेमेस्टर में पढ़ेंगे, इस चैप्टर में पढ़ेंगे, सो देयर विल बी अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट. अगर आपने ध्यान दिया तो इस बार के सिलेबस स्ट्रक्चर में यू ऑलरेडी हैव टू main differences to be done. One that was introduced in Unit 1 between human resource management and personal management, and the second one is this between training and development. Unit 4 that you can see is trade union. The weightage you can see besides that is 15%. Now to repeat myself, Unit 1 you did about management of human resource. Unit 2 you have planned the human resource. और Unit 3 में हमने उनके करियर के बारे में भी प्लान कर दिया. हमने एग्जीक्यूटिव्स के ट्रेनिंग और डेवलपमेंट के बारे में भी बात की. अब Unit 4 में भी the coverage is nothing but human resource, but within that we are going to do a topic of trade union. I don't know if you have heard about this word or not. Maybe in television or maybe sometimes in news channels you may have heard about this term. Union is nothing but a group. Now, and trade, you know, trading is nothing but business. तो जब ये बिजनेस में या ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में एम्प्लॉयज अपना एक कलेक्टिव ग्रुप बना लेते हैं, दैट इज नोन एज ट्रेड यूनियन. अब ये ग्रुप क्यों बनाते हैं? सो डेफिनेटली व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग समवेयर और वेयर यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग योर टाइम, यू मे हैव सम काइंड ऑफ कंप्लेंट्स एट अ गिवन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. हो सकता है कि आपकी कुछ नीड्स हैं, देयर आर सम रिक्वायरमेंट्स. When one person will go to represent the complaint or to represent the need, हो सकता है कि उसकी बात कोई ना भी सुने, maybe he is not answered very well. लेकिन जब ये employees अपना एक group बना लेते हैं, they frame a union altogether, their complaints are very well heard, their grievances are solved. So a union, or I can say a collective group of employees, is a trade union. So you're going to do the definition of trade union. आप importance पढ़ेंगे उसके बारे में. Definitely it is important more to the employees than to the organization, but definitely every organization has a trade union. So why is it so? What is the importance that you are going to do? Next, as you can see, very important question again in this chapter, again the heart of the chapter. It is the functions of a registered trade union. Whenever there is a trade union in an organization, it cannot function as it like. So there are a number of functions that you have to do as to what a trade union can do, what an employee under that trade union can do, because it cannot resort to illegal means. So legally, a registered trade union has number of functions that it has to perform. Those functions you are going to do. And lastly, you would also be studying about the rights and the responsibilities of a registered trade union. As I said, trade union also has some kind of barometers. It also has some kind of legalities to be followed. They cannot work and they cannot express as and when they like. So whatever complaints they have or whatever kind of requirements they have to present, they have to do it within those ambit only. So unki bhi koi rights hain, there are some kind of duties of a trade union which they have to follow. They cannot just haphazardly make any kind of complaint or make any kind of a requirement and then go on a strike. That is not possible. Lastly, that you can see unit number 5, it is your final unit of semester 3, industrial unrest, again covering a weightage, as you can see, of 15%. Now, by now, in all the units, I have talked about human resource only. Even in this unit, when I'm talking about industrial unrest, it is definitely unrest, or other word could be a dispute or a conflict within the industry only. अब ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट क्यों आते हैं या ये डिस्प्यूट्स क्यों खड़े हो जाते हैं, तो डेफिनेटली कुछ डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन हो सकता है बिटवीन द एम्प्लॉय एंड द एम्प्लॉयर, बिटवीन द पर्सन हु इज वर्किंग एंड द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इटसेल्फ. तो इसको आप एक ब्रॉड टर्म में अनरेस्ट का नाम दे सकते हैं. So you are going to study the meaning, and you are also going to study the characteristics of industrial unrest as to what kind of a situation denotes unrest. Also, there are two different terms that you are going to do. One is industrial peace and the other is industrial harmony. Of course, one is positive and one is negative. To give you an idea, when a person is forcefully keeping peace, or when a person is forcefully not resorting to any kind of unrest, वो forcefully झगड़ा नहीं कर रहा है और forcefully peace पे है, तो वो हुआ industrial peace. That is not good for an organization. It is actually a negative term. But when an employee willingly he is keeping that kind of peace in the organization, willingly he is not resorting to any kind of dispute or conflict, then it becomes industrial harmony. That is positive and that is required in every organization. There are different forms of industrial disputes also that you have to do. To name a few, the popular one that you all know is a strike. So whenever an employee is not satisfied, as you all know, they have already formed a trade union, so they can even represent their disputes, they can represent their conflicts by many forms that you are going to do also in this chapter. Once an industrial dispute has been raised, or once we know that there is an industrial unrest, there are a number of causes and effects of the same. There could be number of causes that results into creating an unrest or creating any kind of a dispute. As I said, it could be a difference of opinion, it could be any kind of demand or any kind of need of an employee that is not satisfied. But whenever they resort to industrial unrest, definitely it is not good for an organization. It will have its own effects, it will have its own consequences also. The consequences could be adverse for both the employees as well as the employers. अगर employees आज strike पे चले जाएंगे तो उनके लिए भी it is not good, because they are not going to receive any kind of salary for the time they are on strike. Similarly, when they go on strike, even for the organization, the production is shut down. and production shutdown even by one day can result into great loss and great damage for the organization. Lastly, you also have to do some kind of remedial measures. You have to understand how can one remedy or how can one take some precautionary measures whenever there is an industrial unrest being raised. अगर एक नॉर्मल झगड़ा भी हो जाता है तो we try to solve it by some kind of discussion. We try to give suggestions how to solve that complaint or solve that dispute. Similarly, even in an organization, they can solve things by negotiations, they can solve the things by discussions. Even a third party can be involved, जैसे हम popularly arbitrator के नाम से जानते हैं. So there could be an arbitrator who gets into the matter and tries to solve the matter that is binding on both the parties. So this was your Unit 5 of Industrial Unrest. Moving to the last unit of second year BCom, it is nothing but case study. Now this is very familiar to you. The weightage you can see is 15%. Case studies you have done in semester 1 also, you have done in semester 2 also. And case studies are divided into the same 3 parts you have done earlier. That is the facts of the case. You will have to write down the facts. Based on the facts, you will have to decide what are the problems that are involved in the case, what are the things that are not good, that are not followed properly. So that you will have to do. And lastly, the problems that you have showcased, you will have to decide some kind of solutions and suggestions to solve the problem. As I said, the entire syllabus structure of semester 3 is focusing mainly on human resource. तो केस स्टडीज में भी ज्यादातर आपको HR की केस स्टडीज पढ़नी होंगी, where there could be examples pertaining to the human resource management, what are the problems faced into it, and even based on the disputes between the human resource, the disputes between HR and the organization. So based on those problems, you will have your case studies. So this was the syllabus structure for semester 3. As you can see, there were 5 units plus 1 case study. This comprises your entire syllabus for business administration for the new semester. I hope this video was beneficial to you to understand what are the topics you are going to study for the coming semester. And I hope for the coming lectures, it would help you to understand the chapters better. Thank you for the day. See you soon in the next lecture with chapter number 1, that is Human Resource Management.